Welcome. Okay. I want to ask, what did we learn yesterday? Can somebody give us a recap of what we did yesterday? You don't have to like say everything from beginning to end, but just tell me what you took home. If you want to speak, you can raise up your hand and then I'll give you a chance to speak. The button to raise your hand should be in the middle of the icons you have at the bottom of your screen with hand icon. Anybody who wants to give us a recap of what he or she learned yesterday? Nobody? Okay, Chimezi Agbo, please go on.
Okay, yesterday we discussed about variable types, that's the integers, the floats, the double, and all the integers. Then we talked about the prototype, which is normally the declaration of the function, its statement, and its parameters. Then we talk about the derivative, like the people processor derivative, which is hash include, that is the pound sign and the include. Then we talked about what is it called? Standard library functions that has to do with printf, scanf, get, all that, all the rest. We talked about self-declared function, that is user-defined functions, which are the ones you get from your local machine, your local file created, like the ones we did today, which is 00 variables and this nested tags. So the self-defined variables are the ones you create yourself using the hash and the script, like the bash script, and you call upon it as you call it on from your local machine using the double quote. So that's one we talked.
Okay. I think I've lost it. Okay, Chimeze, okay, that's very good, but that's good. That's good. That shows we're paying attention. But most of the things you mentioned, I'm not sure we've treated them yet. So I believe those were not the things we did yesterday too. But it's good that you mentioned them because I believe those were the things you read about based on the projects you had yesterday. Okay, that's very good. Okay, so today we'll be moving into another concept. And remember what I told you, please don't put all your focus on your project and your task, rather to understand the concept, which is why we have all these sessions, so we could help break down those concepts into smaller pieces so you could understand. So please take advantage of the whole thing and see how it could add value to you. So today we have one of our own in the house, Blessing Chukwuwike. Blessing has been a big motivation to me. So I believe after she speaks today, you will see why she's a motivation to me. So please, Blessing, I hand over the mic to you.
Okay, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much. And thanks, guys, for showing up for this class. So I'll just go straight into it. I prepared a little presentation, so I'll just go straight into it and then let's make progress. So I'll share my screen now. Okay, let me make it a slideshow. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right, so today we'll be concentrating on comments, then escape sequence, operators, and user input. Okay, how to get user input. Now, these are the main areas we're going to be concentrating for today's class. So let me quickly get down to it. So I'd like us to run through the PowerPoint first before we go into practice fully. Okay? All right. So first we have comments. Now in C programming, we always use comments. And why do we use comments? We use it to provide information because most times when we write code in the future, this code will be helpful to other programmers and it will even be helpful to you. So why should you write comments? You should write comments because in the nearest future, you look at your code and you might not understand what is going on there. So the comments would help you provide you with information and, basically help you understand what's going on. And it also helps other programmers or people who would be making use of your code to understand what the code is all about, okay? So there are two types of comments in C programming. We have the single line comments, and then we have the multi-line comments, and we're going to be talking about them one after the other. So single line comments. So basically, if I want to write a comment that takes just a line, I use my single line comment, which is 2/, right? Now, when I use a single line comment, I can write my comment and it might go into the next line, as long as I don't click the enter key to get into a new line, right? My comment would continue. Okay, it's still a comment. Even if I exceed the line and I'm still writing that comment, as long as I have not skipped into the next line by using the enter key, it will still continue as a comment. Okay, all right. And basically, another information I didn't mention earlier is that the moment you put any of these symbols that signifies or that symbolizes comments, you're automatically saying that the compiler should not compile that part of your code. So sometimes comments can be used to block out, maybe there's a part of your code, you want to see how it will work without that part. So you want to block it out, you use a comment to block it out, because once the compiler sees that symbol that shows that it is a comment, the compiler would not execute that part. Okay, so let's look at this. Single line comments, like I said, /, and it is used to write a single line of code continuously without breaking. The moment you break into a new line, it would automatically end that comment, that line of comments, okay? Then we have multi-line comments. Now, the multi-line comment is also known as block comments. They start with a slash and then an asterisk, okay? So you must start with that and also end with that. So if you start that comment and you forget to end it and you continue your code, the compiler sees everything as part of that comment. So you must end it with an asterisk and a slash. Okay, so that's what a multi-line comment is all about. There's an example here for you to take a look at. Then, even though we have these two as the major types of comments that we use in C programming, there's also, or in programming, so there's also what we call the doc comments, okay? Now, so many of us, when we came into the ALX program, after we read about the two forms of commenting, and then we saw that ALX was insisting that we should put a slash and double asterisk. We were wondering, why? The only two forms of comments we had seen from books or from whatever research we carried out was just the single line and the multi-line, right? But then while I was researching, I got to realize that, oh, actually, this practice that ALX is trying to make us adopt is actually a good practice. Now, it is used to start a documentation comment. This form is used for a documentation comment, and it is called the doc comment, okay? It is a special type of comments that we use. You know, it would we use it for functions, we use them for variables, you understand? And it's basically used for documentation, okay? And then there are documentation generation tools. Once they go through this and they see these comments, they can generate documents for the code, okay? So that's basically the importance of this form of code that we're using. In cases where those documentation generation tools are used, they will automatically be able to generate documentation for the code based on what you have put in this form of comments. I don't know if you understand that. Do we understand that?
No, I don't understand. I'm sorry, but I don't understand.
Okay.
I
Now,
don't understand, please.
Okay. Now, there are certain tools, right, that can generate documentation. Now, you know, in the tech world, there are advancements coming up and all of that. And some of these codes you use will be used in the future, right? They'll be used for some things in the future. You might not know how far some codes that you would write in the future would be used. So this is used for documentation, in the sense that documents can be generated out of them with the intention to advance whatever you have created. I don't know if that's clear now. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, I understand now.
Okay. So basically, this is like, it's a very good practice to use this, because when those documentation generation tools are passed on them, they can automatically generate documents from this code. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. Then, okay. So here's an example of how it is used. How it is used. For example, this code that this doc comment has been written for, it is used, the main function is used to print single numbers. Okay, so you see, that's how it is being used. I'm sure most of us have used it at one point or the other since we started C programming. So that's basically what it is. Now, let's go into escape sequence. What is an escape sequence? An escape sequence is a combination of characters that represent a special character or sequence. So, I don't know. I feel like this definition might not do justice. So we'll need to look at it. The definition might not make sense to you until we look at it. So let's take a look at some examples. Now, for example, you're writing a code and you need to skip to a new line. This escape sequence, \n, will take you to a new line. That is, if I write a code and I include it, it means from the point I include it, whatever comes next would go to a new line. Okay? And then the /tab, it will create a space. That's the tab space for you. And then the other one, backspace, it will take the code backwards to that point. We're going to practice some of this after we have gone through this presentation. We'll practice using some of them and see how they behave. Okay, we'll practice some of them, and I would also advise that, because we might not practice all of them, I would also advise that at your own leisure time, you take, because I'll drop this PowerPoint on the group so that we can still go back to it and review. Okay, so we'll see how they work in different codes. Now, the funny thing is, some of them might not work in a Programmist compiler. Some of them might not work in a Programmist compiler. So it would require you to use a normal sandbox, like your ALX sandbox or Git Bash, for you to be able to see how it actually behaves. So this backspace, let's assume I put this /backspace 3 times. When I put this /backspace 3 times, what it will do is it will travel down 3 times. It will go from one line to one letter to another, or one character to another, until the 3rd line, if I put it 3 times. If I put it 2 times, it will skip twice. Let's assume I write hello world, right? With an exclamation mark. And then I put backspace B 3 times. What it will do is, it will take my cursor 3 times back into what I wrote, that is into hello world. So it will take my exclamation, it will skip my exclamation mark, skip the D, skip the L, and then it will be between the R and the L. Then if I put a space, what it will do is it will delete. If I put a space, it will replace the letter where my cursor is. It will replace it with that space, which means it will delete it and overwrite it. Okay? And then there's carriage return, there's single quotes, there's double quotes. Those are used for characters and strings, sorry. Okay, so let's look at this. Operators. Now, operators are symbols or keywords that are used to perform operations in one or more operands. So let's look at some of them. We have different types. There are arithmetic operators. Now, what are arithmetic operators? They are used to perform basic arithmetic operations, just like your addition, your subtraction, your multiplication, your division, and your modulo. I'm not sure a lot of us understand what modulo is. So let me break down what modulo is. Now, modulo is used to divide and see if there's remainder. So if I say 5 modulo 2, my answer is 1. What do I mean? Is 5 divisible by 2? If 5 is divided by 2, what would remain? So if I say 8 modulo 2, my answer will be 0, because 8 is divisible by 2, right? If I say 15 modulo 4, if I say 15 modulo 4, it will divide 15 and then put the remainder, which is 3. I want to put something. I think yesterday, was it yesterday or sometime back, you discussed about variables being containers, right? So a variable is a container, okay? Or it's let's say you have a block of flats, is a room, okay? So you have to put something in there. Now that thing you're putting in there, when that process of putting something in there is assigning. So when you're assigning a value into a variable, you use the equal to sign. Then when you're adding and assigning, in cases where you're using a loop, for example, while using your loop, whatever you got from your loop, you're trying to add it up to the new value that has been provided from your loop, and then get the answer and reassign it. So that is what plus minus does. We're still going to look at it when working. Then minus, that's subtract and assign. It's just similar to add and assign. So subtract and assign is also you're subtracting from a value, probably a previous answer value you had. So you're subtracting from it and assigning the new answer to that variable. Okay, the same thing with multiply and assign, divide and assign, and then modulo and assign. Okay, so let's look at this comparison operator. We have the equal to sign. Now, when you are saying something is equal to, you use double equal to sign. It is no longer single equal to sign. And we see this more when we're using maybe an if statement. Let's say, for example, you want to say if x is equal to 17. That equal to, you're not just going to put one equal to, you're going to put double equal to represent equal to. When it's one equal to, what you're doing is you're assigning. But when it's double equal to, you're saying the actual equal to. Okay? All right. And then we have not equal to. So the exclamation mark and equal to is used to say it is not equal to. It's used to say it is not equal to. So for example, if I am working on, I think, let me just run through them and then we'll see practical examples of how these things are being used. And then we know the usual less than, we know the greater than, and then we know less than or equal to, and then we know greater than or equal to. Then the next is we have logical operators. They are used to perform logical operation like and, or. So when you want to say and, you have to use two of these ampersand. When you want to refer to or, you use double ampersand. And then just like I mentioned earlier, when you are saying something is not, that exclamation mark represents not. Okay? And then we have more operators. There are bit operators. There's incrementing and decrementing operators. There's conditional operator and a lot more. Now let's look at how to take user inputs. I'm just trying to rush through this. Then when we start, I will take all of your questions and then we'll see how we can work to bring them. So how to take user input from your user using scanf. So let's say I want to write a program and I want to take my user's name, the person using my program, right? I want to take his name. So, of course, I'm going to give a prompt to tell the person to impute his name, right? But when the person imputes his name, how do I now take the name? I use scanf. I will use scanf to take it, just like the name. You know, we use printf to display. Scanf is to take in, to receive, okay? So I use scanf to receive it. But I'm not just going to receive it and not have a container to put it. And that is why whatever variable I have declared, I can now use that variable. And that value or that name that I have taken, I can now put it inside that variable and store it there. Okay, so now we can go into practice. But before we go into practice, I don't know if anybody has any question. Do we have questions? So that when we're practicing, we can focus on those areas that you have questions. No questions? But can you all hear me? I want to be sure you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let me share my screen on that's the programming screen so that we can use that for practice. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, beautiful. Now, so we're going to start from looking at the single line comments. So I'm going to show you what the single line comment is. Now, when you open your program, the first thing you see is a single line comment. The first thing up here, this is a single line comment. Even down here, you have a single line comment. Now, let me show you something. Let's assume I want to extend this comment. I'm just going to write randomly. You can see that it continues to the next line. It can continue to the next line and to the next line as long as I keep typing. But the moment I click enter, the comment has ended. I can now go into my code normal. Okay? So that's what a single line comment is all about. I don't know if this is clear.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, so now let's look at multi-line comment. Now let's see. Okay. So let's say, you can see the moment I put this sign, everything in my code has taken the comment form. Did you observe that? Everything in my code is no longer as colorful as it used to be. Let's see. You can see that it's back. But the moment I put it again, sorry. The moment I put it again, everything is now taking the comment form. That's because until I close the comment to show where my code is ending, everything under this is treated as a comment. Okay, so let me just write this is Okay. Now, can you see that I have ended my comment and everything is back? The colors are back to indicate that, okay, now this is the comment part and this is my code part. Okay, so that is it for multi-comments, multi-line comments. And of course, we have all used the doc kind of comments in our, or the documents kind of comments in our codes at one point or the other. Okay, so now that said, let's now go into escape sequence. Okay, now let's see how we can use escape sequence on this hello world. Some of this escape sequence would not work here. Some of them would not work here, but some would work. So let me just come to the middle so that you can see the effect. Let me put new line here, and then I run my code. You can see my hello world. The hello is on the first line, and then the world is on a new line. That's what this new line character does, okay? It's an escape sequence. And then let's look at this. Let's use the T. Now you can see the T creates a tab space. It's not like the normal little space you have. It creates a tab, okay? So that's what it does. The /B on would not really, it won't reflect here. It won't reflect here because of the kind of, I think, was it yesterday that IDIs were explained to, yeah, is it UDI or something like that? That, what's his name? Justin explains this to you, right? Hello? Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we
Yes.
can hear you.
I hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am, we can hear you.
okay, due to the kind of compiler that this uses, it's not the normal like your sandbox or whatever. So there are certain things that might work, that might be excused here, but might not work the same way when you're using maybe your sandbox or you're using Git Bash or some of those other kind of shell. Okay, so that's why we're having this feedback. Okay, so yeah, that's it for. I would encourage us to still go and use our Git Bash and our sandbox to practice some of these other escape sequence, and then, you know, just basically practice them and see what their character is like, how they behave. Okay, so now let's go to operators. So we're going to be looking at some of these arithmetic operators, but we're going to be using them alongside taking user inputs. Okay, so we'll be taking user inputs. Now let's do something. Let's assume I want to write a code that, let me put a comment here. Or I'm fine to sum. Okay, so we want our user to input two numbers, and then we want our program to be able to perform the sum. That's the addition operator, using the addition operator on it, right? So we're going to do this. First of all, I'm going to prompt the user to put in a certain number, right? Now, when you want to use printf, don't forget to use your quotes, okay? Don't forget to use your quotes. Whatever you want to be printed has to be in quotes. Okay, so I'm asking the user to input your name, or what is your name? Okay. Now, after my user imputes it, I want to save it somewhere. Okay. Now, because I want to save it somewhere, I have to create a string, or I have to create a variable. Okay. So let me say int. I'm going to try it in a certain way so that you see something. You see what would happen here. Int C or int name. Let me just say int name. Okay. Then I'm going to scanf. Now, I'm going to receive what my user is putting, because what he's imputing. Now, in this case, if the person is imputing his name, what do you think it is? Is it an integer? Is it if you notice I put integer there, do you think it's an integer? Do you think it's a character? Do you think it's a string? I want someone to respond among you.
It's a character.
The character, okay. Oh, character. Any other person has a different opinion?
The string.
Is it what?
The string.
A string? Okay. Now let's try it as a character and see. As a normal character and see. Okay. So let me change it to char. And then %C, since it's a character. And then, because we want to save it in the variable name, so I'm going to use the ampersand. Now, this ampersand represents address, okay? This ampersand here before the name, it represents address. So it means I am going to save it in the address name, okay? So let's run this and see. Okay, let me say my name is Blessing. Okay, sorry, I have to print it off. Print it so that we can all see what's. Hello. Okay. So let's see how this works. What is your name? My name is Blessing. Okay, hello B. Now, when you say it is a character, right? What you're trying to say is that it's one letter, okay? So when we say it's a character, it means we're referring to one letter, okay? And one reason why I'm careful now to take us into string is I'm not sure if we have gotten into that topic. So if I take strings now, it will be confusing for you. Okay, so this is just showing you that a character refers to one letter. Let me not deviate from the code I was trying to create in the first place. So I'm trying to it says write a program that takes in two numbers. But I don't know, does anybody understand what happened here? This one, before I go back to the code I was.
No, ma.
Okay, you don't understand what happens?
Yes,
all
ma.
right. Okay, now this is what happened. My name, Blessing, is a string because it has multiple characters. Okay? So your name is a string because it has multiple characters. And when you are taking in the name, if you notice, because I used C, it automatically took only the B. That's to tell you that it will identify only one letter because we said character, right? Not from the place we defined the variable, we declared the variable, not from the part where we declared the variable, but even from our scanf, the the format we put there, the format specifier we put there is %C, which is character. So of course it will take only a character. Okay, even when we printed a character, so it will take only a character. Okay, so let me leave you with this to anticipate what will come when you're learning string. And for those who are ambitious enough, who want to go and carry out their own research, this should get you hungry enough to get to know how you would operate with strings. So I'll leave it at that. Okay, but basically we understand why it's given only B. It's given only B because it's just a character. Yes, you want to say something?
Yes.
Hello?
So what if yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Can you raise your voice a bit?
Hello?
Oh. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, what if you wanted it to print the whole blessing? On that scan if, what would you have used?
That what?
What if you wanted
If you wanted to take the whole name, to print the whole name. Hello? Okay, I'm guessing he's trying to say, what if you want to print the whole name? Like I said, that would take us into another topic entirely, which is string. And this is only a, let's say I'm giving you a taste, or I'm picking your curiosity so that you can go and do a research and get to find out how do strings work. Okay, so because we cannot deviate from our topic and go straight into string entirely, so this is just to pick your interest and get you going out to carry out your research to find out more about strings. Okay, all right, so now let's go to the main code. That's
I have a question.
yes.
This scan F, the way the code is written, I don't quite understand it. I guess I'm new to it. There's an and symbol before the name.
Yes.
What
yes.
is that there?
Yes. Now the ampersand represents address. Okay. Remember when you were taught about variables, you were told that a variable is a container, right? So
Yeah.
so when you want to assign a value to it, you cannot put something into it. But in this case, we're asking the user to give us what we will put inside this container. Okay, so that is why we have sent out a prompt to ask the user to put in something, right? So when the user puts in something, this scanf is us receiving what the user has put in and putting it into the container. Now that container or address is represented, when you're using scanf, is represented with the ampersand sign in front of the name of the variable. Remember, the variable we created was name. So now we are putting something in the address. Now this ampersand represents address. I don't know if that's clear. Marvelous.
Yes, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so let's go straight to the code, the question I put up there.
Please, how do you write ampersand? I don't know.
You said?
How do you write ampersand? I don't understand this word.
How do we what?
How do you write ampersand?
How do we write it?
Yes.
Okay, there's a ampersand key on your system or on your phone. If you're using the phone and you're typing, there's the and symbol amongst. If you check amongst your symbol, you see it there. So you just click on it. Is that clear?
Yes, yes, it's clear. But when you say ampersand, I was confused.
Okay. The ampersand is this. This is the ampersand. Can you see the part I highlighted?
Yes.
Yes, that is the symbol I'm talking about. Okay.
Sorry, Blessing, can you please re-explain this ampersand, please?
Okay. Now this is what it does. Okay. When I use the printf function, right? In this code, for example, I ask the user to input something, right? So whatever the user has imputed, I'm going to save it in my variable. Remember, the variable is just a container, right? So for me to put something into it, because I want my user to be the one to give me what to put inside, right? So I would have to use a scanf to scan whatever my user imputes. Okay? I'll scan whatever my user inputs, and then I put it inside that address. I don't know if that's understandable. So that ampersand simply means address. This ampersand sign, it simply means the address with the name, okay? Is that clear?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So now let's look at this. So let's say, let's ask for an integer. Let's ask the user to write an integer or input an integer. Okay, so I'm asking my user to input an integer because I want to add, right? And then when my user inputs an integer is a number. So this thing for integer is %d. The format specifier for integer is %d. Okay, so when my user inputs the integer, I'm going to save it in the address num. Okay, then let's assume I want them to put another integer. So let's say I want to ask again. I can decide that I want to ask for 2 integers. Okay, I can decide that. So let me say input 2 integers so that I can add them at once. So I want num1, comma, num2. Okay, I can declare it like this, or I can decide to take it to a new line and do this. Okay, so I have num1 and num2. So since I'm asking my user to put in 2, I would put 2 of the format specifiers. And then I'm going to put ampersand num1 and then ampersand num2. Sorry. Okay, so now I want to printf, right? I want to print the sum. So my user has inputted this, then I want to print the sum. Let me do this. The sum of the sum of your input is %d. Okay? Let me put a new line here. Okay, no, let me just put a new line. Now let me put a new line so we can see how it will take us to a new line. Okay. So now, just so that it will be clear, I want to create another variable int sum. And this int sum, I want to put the sum of num1 and num2. Okay? So, sorry. Num1 plus num2. Okay? So I'm declaring and assigning the value of num1 plus num2 to sum. So instead of coming to do num1 plus num2 inside my printf, I will just do this. Ampersand sum. You can see that the format specifiers we learned from our previous class are being useful in this. We're using them in this class. So you can see one code can put together a couple of ideas you have learned previously. So let's say we're imputing two integers. I want to impute 7 and 8. Some of your inputs, oh, there's an error. There is an error. Can anyone spot my error? Can anyone spot my error?
Well, I think we need to assign numbers
Is
to
that-
num1 and num2.
You said?
Probably we're supposed to assign figures to num1 and num2.
It's the user that imputes.
Oh,
So the user
okay.
has imputed this and this. Okay, I'm also trying to figure out where the error is. Okay,
In the last printf,
yeah.
you were to put only sum, not ampersand sum.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Because it's not a scanf. So I've been teaching ampersand and it's so sweet. I'm now putting ampersand. Okay, so let's see. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, so you can see our code has worked. Now we have learned how to ask the user for an input. And when the user inputs it, we are now going to save it into a variable, and then we can now use it for different operations, okay? Is there anybody who doesn't understand what's happened here so that I can run through it again? Is there anybody who doesn't understand?
Yes, I've missed something. Kindly pardon.
Okay, so what parts do you not understand so that I can run through it again?
The scanf part.
Okay, so let me go back to it. Now, I've been asked to write a code that takes in two numbers from my user, right? And then finds the sum of the numbers, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to declare variables because I know I'll be receiving two numbers, right? Okay, so I have declared my first two variables, num1 and num2. That's what I decided to name it. Then I'm going to send a prompt so that if my user runs the program, the first thing he sees is the prompt asking him to put his numbers, right? So I have asked my user, using the printf function, I have asked my user to impute two numbers, okay? So when my user imputes these two numbers, what would happen to the numbers? Of course, I want to work with the numbers. So I would need to receive the number, right? So that process of receive, I like you to look at scanf as you receiving it from your user, okay? So I will use the scanf to receive it. But when I receive it, now receiving it, I need to put it into the variables that I have created. Remember, variables are just containers. So I have received them because there are two. I use two ampersand, two modulo D or percent D. So I have percent D here because I'm receiving two different integers. And then I save them. Now, scanf will save them respectively. Because I put the first scanf, it represents 7. So the 7 that was imputed. And then the other scanf, the other percent D represents the second variable. I receive them. That's what scanf does. It receives variable and stores them inside the variable. I don't know if you understand this. Hello?
Yeah, I'm getting.
Okay, so it receives it and stores it inside this variable. And once it's been stored inside the variable, I can now carry out the operation I want to. Do you understand? So in this case, I want to carry out a sum. That's an addition operation using the sum operator, right? So I would say I decided to create a variable sum just to make sure my work is tidy. I created a variable sum and then I carried out the addition out here, then saved whatever comes out of num1. Because remember, this num1 has the number that the user has imputed has been saved into num1 and num2. Do you understand now? So I can now use them. I can now use them for my sum. So I've used them for my sum. Whatever the answer is would automatically be saved in the sum variable. And then when I come here, the sum of input is %d. The sum of your input is %d, which is the sum. And it will automatically give me the sum. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other person who does not understand what happened? Is there any other person lost? Should I assume we're all understanding or you're all with me? Okay, so I'm free to assume. All right. So now let's assume we want to carry out subtraction, right? Let's assume we want to carry out subtraction. Now, let me use here. Okay, because I know, in this case, because I know that my user input is, let's say I want to put num1 to be greater than num2, right? Let's just do this. So I will intentionally put num1 to be greater, right? Because I want to carry out subtraction in this case, right? But with time, when we understand how to use the if, the for loop, and all of that, the if and else statements, right? When we learn to use that, then we would now know how to do the subtraction, whether the first number is bigger or the second number is bigger, okay? But just for the sake of this example, and because I want us to understand that different operations can be carried out, we're just going to do this. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, I use different instead of difference here. Let me see. Okay, so let me impute 9. Let me run it again. Let me impute 9 and 4. Sorry. 9 and 4. Enter. Okay, so you see, because I intentionally put my 9 to be greater to my first variable to be higher than the second variable. That's why we have this. Okay, but with time, when we learn the if, I don't want to skip what we're learning today. So when we learn the if and else statements, we can now know how to say if num1 is greater than num2, this should happen, or if num2 is greater than num1, this should happen. Okay, so I wouldn't want to skip to that point. Okay, but basically what I'm trying to say is, after you have been able to receive your user inputs, then we can now you can now carry out the operations you want to carry out, since our class is mainly focused on getting the user inputs. Okay, I don't know if there's anybody who's understanding what I'm saying or anybody who's lost. I don't know why I feel like there's somebody who's not understanding, and I feel like that person should come out. Is there anybody like that?
Mine is bringing another.
I didn't get that.
I'm saying once I run the program, the compiler, it's bringing an error
Which
on
one?
the point of scanf.
That's the place of scanf.
The place
Okay,
of scanf.
You're trying it out on your own compiler, programming compiler.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's giving you an error.
Yeah.
Okay, you might want to take a. What's the error saying? Read what the error is saying.
Okay, it's saying scanf percentage DD double, then that's an
Did you put percentage DD or you put percentage D and another percentage D?
percentage D.
Are they in quotes?
Yeah, they are in quotes.
I hope there's no space.
No spacing.
Okay, do you have a comma after it?
Yes.
And then you have your ampersand.
Space.
No? Yeah?
Yes. A space, then comma, some num one, space, comma, space, then the other one.
Did you end it with a semicolon after your bracket?
Yeah. I ended with a semicolon after the bracket.
Okay, even though I'm not supposed to do this, but I would like to.
Screenshot.
Huh?
Maybe if you send a screenshot to the chat box.
Yes, I wanted to say she should share her screen so I will take a look at it. And let's see if there's anybody amongst us who will be able to spot the error. So can we do that? You want to share your screen?
Okay, just a moment.
Right.
I connect the laptop.
Okay, you're not connected to your laptop?
No, I'm using my phone.
Okay.
To
Okay, so
access
we'll give you.
the meeting.
Okay. So we'll give you some time to figure that out. Okay. All right. But then I'm going to share a question, and I want to see if there's anybody who can run it for us, who can, just give it a try. I hope we're not scared of giving it a try. I hope we don't have people who are scared of making mistakes. I'm typing in the chat box, and then I want someone to try it out. Okay. Okay, so I want someone who can write a C program that receives input from the user and multiplies the value. Who is up to that challenge? Who's up to that challenge? I'll stop sharing this and get someone who's willing to take the challenge. Everybody's quiet. Nobody wants to take up the challenge. Does that mean we didn't understand? Should I pick somebody? Hi, David. Are you there?
I'm here, please.
Yes. Can you help us pick someone randomly? Nobody's willing to take up a challenge.
Okay, that's actually my hobby to pick
Okay,
people.
please. Please do.
Just give me a minute, please. Let me check all my friends that are here.
Okay, please.
Okay. So I've seen somebody. Her name is
Okay.
Fola.
Okay, all right.
Folakemi Oderanti.
Oh, okay. Folakemi, you've been nominated to take up the challenge.
Wow. Okay. You have to give me a minute to connect to my system.
See what we can do. See what we can do for Lake. You can share your screen while doing it, and then everybody will give you an input. People will suggest to you what to do. So don't worry, you're not alone.
But I just want to put on my PC. Actually, I'll be using my phone.
Okay. All right. So we'll give you some time to put on your PC.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if she's unavailable, I'll pick another person then.
Okay, please do.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please do.
Okay. Gen A.
Okay, Gen A.
Gen A. I'm picking Gen A.
All right, Gen A. You've been nominated for the challenge. Are you ready? Gen A. Did she put on her laptop and went to the kitchen to cook? Hi, Gen A. Are we all scared
so
of
everybody's acting mute. Well, it's not a very difficult task. Let me
It's
see.
not.
I received them from the easier multiply. You've showed them how to do it already using the
Yes.
addition.
Yes, it's the same
sign,
thing
right?
I did
So it's
using
the
the
same thing
addition.
here.
I just want them to try it using the multiplication, just so that it registers. Okay, there's this
Okay.
Ogunga. I think he's laughing,
Okay,
so I don't know.
yeah.
I feel like it's a good sign.
I was about to even nominate him.
Okay, Ogunga, we're waiting for you. He said, please don't nominate me.
No, I'm nominating him, please.
No, don't worry. We don't have to see your face. All we need to see is your screen. Okay, beautiful. Bridget wants to give it a try. Well done, Bridget. Please go ahead and share your screen if you're ready. Hi, Bridget.
Hello.
Okay, is that Bridget? Yes, beautiful. Welcome, Bridget. Okay, so are you ready to give it a try?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's unmute our mics so that Bridget can give it a try. Where you need to support her, please put up your hand and then you can give a contribution to support her. All right, the stage is yours, Bridget.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Hello. So, like for the place, like it's just the normal way, the way we have been doing it. So, in the place of like this difference, you'll change to multiplication. Then near the multiplication of your inputs. So once you run, you'll assign, let's say like we assign 5 and 9. So the multiplication is -4.
You didn't change the operator sign in your int statement. That's why it's negative. It's still
The
minus.
operator sign too?
So where it says int multiplication num1 minus, you should change that to minus to multiple.
Yeah, to
times.
multiplication. Sorry. So we give it 5 and 9. Yeah.
Wow, well done, Bridget. This is beautiful.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Yes. Okay. Let me give a different question and see if somebody else would be able to. Yeah, David, please go ahead and speak.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, so what if in the case where as a user I input 5.9, will this program still run the same way?
Okay. Now, yesterday while we were learning about the different types of variables, we learned about floats and we also learned about doubles. And we were told that those are the ones that take in values with decimal point. So as long as this code says int, which is integer, it would not, it will sum it up or it will carry out the operation, but then it will leave out from the decimal points because it doesn't take numbers with decimal points. But then if we had assigned our variable or declared our variable as a float or as a double, then we can use decimals. I don't know if we get that. David, have I answered your question?
No, I didn't get that.
Yes, you have.
Okay, let's do this. Someone said she didn't get me, so let me share my screen again and then let's try doing something like that. Okay. Now, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I have declared it as floats, right? So let me also declare. Let me still use my sum. Okay. Now, let me run it again. Now, let's say 6.4 and 3.7. Okay. Why is it saying the sum of my input is 46? I'm coming. Okay, I still use %d. So I'm using float now. So let me run it again. 2.2 and 3.7. Oh, wow.
You still used %d on scanf.
For the scan.
Okay, to scanf. Oh, thank you. You see? You see how old I'm getting. All right, so let's see. 2.2 plus 4.5. So let's go. Okay, now that's our answer. So, yes, your float is usually in 6 decimal places. Okay, so that's why we have the extra zeros all the way. Float is usually in, but there's something you can do about it. Let's say I want to make it 2 decimal place. I want to be sure if I still remember this. Let's see. Okay, so I have 3.4 and 5.4. You can see it's now in 2 decimal places. Do you understand how I made it 2 decimal places?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Is there any other person who doesn't understand? Anybody who doesn't understand? Okay, so basically this is how floats works. Yes? Someone was talking.
Sorry, I couldn't get it.
Okay, you didn't get how I. What aspect exactly did you get confused about so that I can? Huh? Please be a bit louder. Okay, I'm not quite hearing you. I don't know if you can type on the chat box so that I can see, because it's not quite clear what you're saying.
Okay, blessing. So you had a full stop at the front of the two, right?
Yes, to say I need 2 decimal places. Yes. Yes, that's why I put point 2.
Okay.
So it's 2 decimal places, yes. Okay, so I want to assume what's Mr. Sorry, I don't know how to. I'm trying to pronounce your name. Okay, I mean how you impute the decimal points. Okay. So this is what I'm saying, right? Sorry, I can't pronounce your first name, so I'll just stick to the second one. Okay, Adebowale. Okay, so Mr. Adebowale, this is what I'm trying to say. Float is used when you want to receive a number that has decimal points. Okay, so because I want to receive, or I'm expecting, let's assume I'm creating my program and I don't know the numbers that my user might want to impute a number that has decimal points. So I use float. If I use int, it means I only expect the user to impute integers. And that was why when I used int, when I wrote my printf, I said impute 2 integers. But now, if I want the person to be able to impute any random number, as long as it's a number, whether it has decimal or not, then I can use float. So in the case where, let me change this to numbers. Now, let's look at this again. Even if I put 8 and 9 and I sum them, it will give me decimal points with 0, 2 decimal places. You get? So I think this is safer if you don't know, because you don't know what your user might impute, right? So it's safer to even use your float or your double, so that any number they impute, whether it has decimal or not, you would still get your answer. Okay, so basically the reason why we got decimals, or were able to use decimals, is because we used float. Okay, and then when we did our printf, we got 6 decimal places, but we wanted to cut it short. We wanted to make it 2 decimal places, and that's why we put this 0.2 before the format specifier of a float, which is f. So we put 0.2 to indicate that whatever answer you're giving us, please give us in 2 decimal places. If we take away this 0.2, it will give us the answer in, let me say, 7 plus 8, right? It will give us in 6 decimal places. So if you don't want to see you don't want to see long numbers like that, you just decide to reduce it. So just leave it at 2 decimal places. Okay? I don't know if I answered your question, Mr.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, awesome. Any other person? Okay, Marvelous is raising her or his hand.
Okay, is
Please
it
go ahead
her?
and speak.
And
Okay, her.
yes, can we be privileged enough to see how the double is used, and what's the difference between the float and double?
Okay, now let's look at this. Let me quickly do this. Let's use double. And the format specifier for double is LF. Okay. So let's see what would happen here. 7 and 8. You can see it's the same thing, right? It's giving us the same thing. Okay. But let's see if this point 2 works for double. Okay, so you can see it still works. They basically do the same thing, but I think they have a few differences which I can't really place right now. They have a few differences, and so maybe I would check out and probably come up with a document on that, or a short write-up on that, and post it on our WhatsApp group so that we can all take a look at that. Okay, I know they have a few differences, but I can't really place it right now. Okay, and again, their size is totally different. While I think float is I'm not quite sure. Let me not say something I'm not so sure about. Okay, so but they are basically different. Do you understand? They have few differences,
Yes,
and I'm going to write about it. I'm going to just confirm, just to be sure. I'll confirm and then write something about it and post on our WhatsApp group. Okay, so for Lakemi, yes.
Okay, sorry, I want to ask a question. It's about scanf. Like,
Okay.
like the scanf, is it basically to print numbers or what?
Scanf is to receive, right? You have asked your user to input a number, right? You need to receive it and put it into a variable so that you can use it in your code.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So while printf, the job of printf is to show what you have been working on, or display. Scanf is to receive. Just take it as printf gives to the user. It shows the user, right? So it gives. Then scanf receives.
Okay.
Just take it as that, yes. So scanf receives and puts in it will always save it in a variable.
Okay.
Yes. You're welcome. Are we all clear now? Everybody clear? Okay, so if that's all, I'm going to be sharing my PowerPoint on the PowerPoint, my presentation. I'll be sharing it on the group, on the WhatsApp group. And yeah, so that's basically it. I believe David would probably add some questions that we can use for practice on the repo. So if there's no other question and no other observation, I would like to hand over to Mr. David. Thank you so much, Mr. David, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Blessing.
Hi, Blessing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Blessing, for being around. I mean, it was a wonderful session. Even I myself, I got to learn things I didn't know, right? And thank you very much. We appreciate you, and we look forward to having you around again another time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So I believe we all got what she said, and if you don't, she's in the group. You could always drop your questions and tag her or any other person you feel comfortable to, or you could inbox them too, or her if you want to. Okay, so just to conclude on the session, I want to show us how where we could see our tags. I showed us yesterday. But before that, somebody was asking about double and float. These were things we explained yesterday. So perhaps you were not around, but if you were around, then you should have known the difference between double and float. That double is of size 8 bytes, while float is of size 4 bytes. And then the little difference between both of them is that double is more precise than float. So that is why it's more preferable to use double whenever you're writing a program that you need to use decimal numbers. So that's just by the way. So I will share my screen now so we could see how we could fork the repository, clone it, and do the other things we should do. My screen is coming up in a minute. Okay, so for Lakemi, can you see my screen?
Yes, David, I can.
Okay, very good. So I'm going over to my profile now. So this is I dropped the link to this repository in the group. So if you've not seen it, then just slide through, or after now I'll drop the message again with the link, so we could all have access to it. So this is where all our lessons are. Now you can see it. Now this was what we did yesterday: introduction to C, data types, variables, format specifiers. Then today we did escape sequence, operators, and how to take user input, which is not here, but it's somewhere in the program here, something you use all through the program. So how do you fork and clone a repository? So I'm going to do that from another account. Oh, I didn't open that particular account, but I wanted us to get practical approach to it. Okay, this is how it is. Once you click on the link, it will bring you to this interface. Okay, now if you look over here, you see fork. It is not highlighted in my own because this repository is on my own account. But for yours, this is going to be highlighted. So you just click on it, and then it will take you to another interface where it will ask you to maybe change the name or something like that. Don't change the name, leave it as it is. Just scroll down, and then you'll see a place that is written fork repository. Yeah, so just click on that, and then... Okay, who is that? Please, before you speak, you raise up your hand. I will give you the chance to speak, okay? So you will not interrupt me. Okay, so after you click on fork, it takes you to the next interface where you see create fork, okay? And okay, let me just search for somebody. Let me just search for somebody. Hold on, please. I want to search for somebody and then show us how it is to fork a repository. Okay, this is Martin. Okay, let's say I want to fork this particular repository. Okay, so you click on it. You see here is highlighted. So I'll click on it, and then it will bring me up to this interface where I could change the name. But don't change the name. Leave it as it is. Leave every other thing as it is, and then just click on this. Is to create a copy of this repository in your own account. That is how it works, right? So when we do that, we are going to have the copy of that repository in our own account. So what next? What next is you go ahead and clone it. Clone the one you have in your own account, not the one I have on my own account. So you go back to your GitHub repository. You will see this interface. On your GitHub repository, you will see C programming tutorial. You click on it, it will open up this. So when it opens up this, you click on code. Then this URL you see here, you just click on this to copy it. This is what you use in cloning it. Now, for some of us who don't know how to clone, I would have used my sandbox to show us that I showed us yesterday. So it's already there. Let me just use my kit bash. So you could clone it the way you clone with ALX. The way ALX showed us how to clone by writing all those things we were asked to write. .git, or you just copy this. Let this open up fast. Okay, so I will TB into wherever it is I want to clone my repository into. Let's say I have. Okay, so let's say I want to clone my no. Let me still go in. Okay, so let's say I want to. Should have had this inside of here. Okay, I don't have it inside of here. So I will just write git clone. Usually, and then you paste the URL you copied from that repository. You hit enter. Then it will clone into it. Just give it a minute. There are so many files in it. Okay, so if I should cd into it, the name is C programming tutorial. So I'm inside of it now. If I list the files, we have it inside here. So the next thing you want to do when you navigate into it is to do your identity update, which is what's that again? Git config -- global user dot email if it is email you are going first, and then you put your actual email address, which is, in my own case, it is this, at gmail.com. You hit enter, and then you do for username too. Now, the difference between username and email is that username should be in quotes. So in my own case, my username is David in Michael, and then I hit enter. So I have done my identity update. So whenever you push, it's going to have your name on it, right? So whenever you create something and then you push, I want to delete it because I already have this C programming tutorial. Okay, I'll do that later from the UI. Okay, so when you've done that, and then you go on to CD into this particular repository where we have the task. Now, this is task 1 task. So the task you should do today should be, okay, let me just check it. Write the program that prints the alphabet in lowercase. No, you can't do that. Can't do that yet. Open the asks and raise the score of a user. If the score, okay, please, for today, you are going to attempt task 2. Yes, task 2. So be sure you attempt task 2. I'll check out the other tasks that you could attempt, and then I'll send it to the group for you to attempt. So when you CD into tasks, you VI into any of these tags, like task 2, for example, and then you go ahead and write your program after the comment. Like if you open up this place, hold up, you see we have it in comment. Then immediately after the comment, that's where you should write your program, this actual program. So here it says write a program that asks and reads the score of the user. If the score is less than, you can still do this. Don't worry, I'm going to add a task for you right now after the meet, and then I will push it here and then tell you the name of the task, so you could go on to attempt it. So when you push, the next thing you want to do is to come over to that's your repository, this repository you have on your own account, and then go into pull request. That's after you've pushed. You come to the repository, you see pull request, then you click on new pull request. Okay, when you click on new pull request, the next steps you will see is going to be explanatory. So you just follow the prompt. If it asks for description, just input that you've done task this, task that, and then you click on create pull request. Then when you create a pull request, I will receive a notification that this person has done something on this task. Then I'll be able to come and check it and review it and give you a feedback or something like that right there on GitHub. So that's how pull request works. So I hope we understand it. And I dropped a description on how we could go about this too from the link I dropped. So maybe I'll drop it again. So that is the task I have for you today. So go on and fork this repository, clone it, and then I will tell you the task that you should attempt. Then you attempt the task, you push, then you come here and create a pull request. Okay, I hope that is clear enough. So that is basically what I have for you in this meeting. So do we understand how to do this? If you have your questions now, you can click on this icon to raise your hand, and then I'll give you a chance to speak. So Marvelous Akomire, please speak. Marvelous.
Okay, I like the way you pronounce my surname, so perfect. I just want to ask, after we've done a git config with our username and email, we do git add, commit, and push before we proceed?
No. You only do git add, commit, and push after you've done something. Let's say you do task 1, for example. Then when you are done with task 1, you can go ahead and git add, commit, and push. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So just to add to that, I've noticed that some of you come up with some error messages saying that when you were trying to push, you were getting an error message. That happens because you just clone a repository and then you want to push again without making any changes in the repository. You only add, commit, and push when you've made a change. So be sure that you've done something. So when you come up with something like that, I'll tell you, okay, create a file and then push, and then it will work. So that's the secret behind that. You should do something before you try to push. Okay, so for Lakemi, please.
Okay, David, thank you. Sorry, I didn't really get that pulling part. You said that after we've done the task, then we're supposed to come and create a pull request. Sorry, I didn't really get that part.
Okay, I'll go over that again. Okay, so let me explain what a pull request is. So a pull request simply means you want to notify the owner of the repository or those who owns the repository that you have made change or changes to the files in the repository and you would want them to review it. That is what a pull request is. So when you fork the repository, you clone it, you attempt a particular task, you add, you commit, you push, right? What you need to do next is to go to your profile, then go to the C programming tutorial that you forked to your own repository, to your own GitHub, right? So you go just on the interface here, it will appear like this on yours. So you just go into pull request. I can't say I want to create a pull request now because this repository is in my own account. You understand? Supposing this was not mine, then I'll create a pull request for someone else. But here is like I'm trying to call myself on the phone. Okay, so you just click on new pull request, and then when you click, the next prompt you will get will be something you understand. So just go ahead and try that. If you have any difficulties, screenshot it, send it to me, then I will tell you, okay, this is what you are supposed to do there. So just click on pull request, and then the next step there, if it's going to ask you for a description, please just write in the description that, okay, I've done task 1 or task 2, so that I can easily go in and say, okay, you did task 2, and then I'll review task 2.
All right, thank you.
Something like that. Okay, so do you understand?
Yes, please, I do. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So does any other person, do you have any questions concerning the repository thing? And then just to mention that all the lessons, everything you've been doing is going to be available here. So you can easily go in and say you want to study again. You just, let's say data types, you could just go into data types and you'll see the whole notes and examples. They're all available there. Okay, so that is why we have this repository for the lessons and the exercises. Okay, so does any other person have questions? Anybody? Okay, very good. In the absence of no questions, I want to appreciate everybody for coming out today. It was a wonderful session, and mostly I want to thank Blessing for coming out, for giving out our best. Now you see why I said Blessing is a motivation to me, because she's always killing it, smashing it. So Blessing, on my own end, I want to say a very big thank you for being out here today. I appreciate it a lot. And on behalf of everybody, I say thank you. Hope she heard that.
Thank you so much. And stop watching me.
Okay, I can't stop even if I wanted to. Okay, so to everybody, thank you for being out. This shows that we really want to learn. Okay, so the next steps that will make me feel like, okay, we really want to learn, so we could keep doing things like this, is when you do what I said you should do by working the repository, cloning, and attempting some of the tasks I will ask you to. So please, doing stuff like that tells us who are organizing the sessions for you that, okay, you really want to work, and with that, we are going to put in our best. Okay, so thank you. But before that, I want to also thank Justice Obasi for being here today. He's one of our media person who took us in our session yesterday too. He is here to make sure that we record this session so that for you or those who were not available, you could easily go back and watch it and get to see what we've done. So thank you very much, Justice Obasi. Please unmute the mic and say hi. Justice. Okay, perhaps network or he's not available right now. So thank you everybody for being out. I appreciate you a lot. So till next time, God bless. So you can unmute the mic now and say bye to your friends. Bye everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Blessing.
Thank you.
Justice, Marvelous, Sherry, Adebowale, Stephen, Gladness, everybody. Thank you for being out.